welcome back to Queerpreneurs Unleashed. I'm your host, Dustyn Baulkham, and on Queerpreneurs, we interview 2S LGBT plus entrepreneurs and the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur. Today, we're recording on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people, and we appreciate and value the land on which we gather. And today, I'm pleased to welcome Keith. Thanks for being here, Keith.
Hi.
Well, you're already destroying the place.
Yeah, I'm a wild animal. Hi, guys.
Speaker.
Yeah.
I know, I got to get some different mic stands. These ones are a little like top heavy because the
Well,
mics are...
I just feel like it's like, this is like right at me. So,
I mean...
I'm like, I'm always like with everybody, I'm like, okay, you get arm's length away. So I'm quite not used to things being flying at my face, you know?
I mean, at least it's nice and low. It doesn't spit back at you.
Totally. I'm like, it's clean.
Yeah.
I'm like, it stays in one place. It's
Yeah.
just me who's wildly moving.
Totally. I always like to start off with, learning a bit more about you. Talk about like just what your business is, but also how you identify.
Well, I identify as he, him, and I'm 42 years old. Oh my God. I'm from Crowsnest Pass, Alberta, which is like a very small town in the southern corner of Alberta on the BC border. It's like in the Rocky Mountains, town of 3,000 people, beautiful place. People are 50-50. It's southern Alberta, so I mean...
50-50 in terms of like being homophobic, or 50-50 in what way?
50-50 in a way that like if I were to compare, and like I'm sorry southern Alberta, I can say this because like I was born there, but like comparing southern Alberta is like almost comparing it to the south in the States.
Okay.
So you got some really great people, but then you've got some people who are just like not aligned with me.
Right.
And
that was very diplomatic of you to say that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I do like, once again, like in the States, like they all have beautiful scenery, but 50-50 on the people.
I feel like that's a lot of areas. Certain areas you see it more than others.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I noticed you mentioned he, him, so gay, male. Is that how you...
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. And so we're actually in your business right now.
We're sitting in this spin room that I just taught a spin class this morning at
Amazing.
8 o'clock. Yeah.
Amazing. And then you had another class right after that too.
I did.
Outside,
I had a circuit training class, which Ella was in there. And
old slut.
yeah, God bless her. I try not to grind her gears when she comes in and works out, because I'm like, that's like the main thing about the gym is that I want it to be a very like just relaxing space and like just come in, do your workout, be yourself, and like go at your own pace kind of thing. But today I kind of just gave it to her a bit.
That's good. She needs that. She always gives it to everyone else. So
yeah, she needs a good little kick in her butt sometimes. Just so I try to tire her out because she's performing tonight, so that when she comes into work, she's like,
has to have an energy drink first.
Yeah, she needs like an energy drink and a Diet Coke and maybe a snack or something.
Right.
Yeah,
just
get her fired up again.
And what's the name of the business?
So I co-own the Doghouse Personal Training. Woo-woo.
Wonderful.
It's downtown in Kelowna on Lawrence.
Yep.
And we just did our 1 year open in November.
Congrats.
We have no signage, no advertising,
that was literally
nothing.
what was going in my head was the no signage. Like you're kind of, it feels like a hidden bathhouse.
Yeah, we tell people it's like the speakeasy of gyms, and it's like, and the reason why we haven't rushed to do advertising or signage is one, because we want it to be small.
Right.
We want it to be community based. We want it to be people that we know or people that know people who come here, so that it's a very comfortable and open space, and it's like for everybody, so that people, like, no matter what's going on or what's happening, they know they're going to come into this gym and they're going to get this experience, and no one's going to talk to them about politics, no one's going to talk to them about religion. All we're going to talk to them about is like how shitty their kids are, or like how annoying their husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, and just have a good workout and sweat. And I think that's really why I started to do fitness in the first place, is that it was fun, and like it was a good place for like me to realize, I'm like, oh, these people are like my friends' friends, because like I come here and this is what I choose to do with my like fun time, and I laugh with them. I find I laugh with people in the gym the most about the stupidest things, and it's part of the reason why I do love that, and that I was so happy to be able to curate that here. So long story short, but that's also why we don't have any advertising or signage, is that we run a lot on word of mouth and reputation, and just kind of like having people invite their friends. And like, what's better than having a place that people want to invite their special people in, you know?
And keep the trash out.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I find, like, because I've worked in like commercial gyms, I worked in fitness studios, I've worked in probably, I would say, like 7 to 8 different studios over my almost 20 years of training. God, I'm old.
Did we meet just before you started training, I think?
Yeah, I was in training for training. I was like in school and like going to the gym and like doing like the hours and that kind of stuff. So that was a long time ago.
It was.
You were at BMO on Dilworth.
Oh, fuck, it was that. I was still in school then.
Yeah, BMO, Dilworth, long time ago. That's like old Kelowna gays, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's being like back in the day. Let's talk about your coming out. What did that look like?
Well, in high school and like growing up, I'm like, I didn't come out at all. I'm like, I didn't really need to come out. I was like that. Okay. Let's go back. Growing up in a small town, your grad class is like 50 people. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, every grade level in a small town, there's always one kid that plays with all the girls and like is in drama and like wants to do that, but like doesn't hang out with other boys, and like so they get labeled the queer or like blah blah blah. So like I never really came out. I never really did anything with a guy or anything. I didn't even really have like a girlfriend. I kind of just, quite frankly, worked and then had my friends at school that I would hang out with and stuff. But like my coming out experience, I was 18 and it was my first day of college, and I sat down next to my friend. Her name was Lindsay, and I just sat down next to her and we introduced ourselves, and we like did our class together, and we decided to eat lunch, and she asked me, she goes, "Hey, are you gay?" And I said, "Yep." And that was it. It was amazing. Like I never really had to like come out. Right. But where I went to school was like about an hour and a half away from my town. Okay. So there's a bunch of people that had like migrated. Sure. So like word spreads. Yeah. So that it was actually like starting to go around the town that I was gay and I was coming out. And I remember my parents telling me that like, "Oh, your brother told us something." Yeah. And we're really hoping that it's not true. And I'm like, and I remembered it was like Thanksgiving Day, and I was like, I went there for Thanksgiving dinner, and my mom like asked me if I was gay, and I was like, "Yeah, well, like I guess you know already, right?" And my brother like just didn't say anything, and my dad didn't say anything, and my mom was like, "Just I don't understand," and like I just, I just can't, no. And I was like, okay, well, she's like, "You know what? It's just not right." And I said, and then my dad told me, he's like, "I think you should leave the house." And then that was it. That was like the last time that I had spoken to my parents and spoken to my brother, and like 18 years old, and just kind of like that was it. But, like they had us later in life in their 30s, and they were French Canadian and like Roman Catholic and like super religious, and like now that I'm in my 40s, I can't like I don't blame them. I'm like, they just it wasn't exactly what they had signed up for, and like that's like that was it. And then like everything else, I'm like, I literally still have like the 2 or 3 friends from high school that I touch base with every couple years, and like it's always like we're getting back into high school and we're like, "What about this person?" It's like, what about her? I'm like, "I don't have her on Instagram. Send me a picture." Yeah.
So from this day, you haven't talked to your parents since that night?
No, yeah, my father has passed,
Okay.
and my mother and my brother I have not spoken to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's it impacted you?
You know what though? I've gone through the motions,
Yeah.
but what I've really learned is that people that make your family are people that are immersed in your life, people that support you, people that are loyal, people that you can really count on, people that do things without expectations, and like people that you like really surround yourself with. Those people are your family. It doesn't take blood to be your family. I'm like, at what point does it mean that like your brother could be an awful person? So like, why would you want to talk to your brother?
True.
And it's like, to me, I'm like, if somebody is that important and you're willing to say and defend and stick up and like, you know, do all these things, then that's your family.
Right.
And that's what I've kind of learned. I've had a lot of people over my lifetime that have really like helped me out, gave me a helping hand, and like given me a chance, and like helped me be a part of their family.
Right.
So I think that's mostly what has like come about that.
Right.
And it's like a lot of people could take that as like, they could turn into a negative, they could go a different way, they could do whatever, but I don't know. I'm a trainer. I'm like, I literally feel like I was born just like a little bit of a cheerleader. And like, I just always try to be a half full kind of guy on my glass. Yeah. And I'm like, if someone knocks you down, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just keep going.
Yeah, you can't expect everyone else to do it for you by any means.
No, and like, people are gonna hit you.
Yeah,
you're gonna get hit all throughout your life, emotionally, hopefully never physically.
No,
but like, people are gonna get you, and like, you just have to realize who's on your side, who's important, know what's going on, and like, just be kind to yourself. You know,
I think that's great feedback for anyone out there who might be in a similar situation or not, because we're always we're always getting punches thrown at us, totally. Whether it be physical or verbal or whatever, hopefully more verbal than physical, but
I mean
it happens.
Exactly. I'm like, but like, life throws you curveballs all the time, and you can't let those obstacles steamroll you.
Absolutely.
And it's like, you have to just keep going, because like, what's the option?
Right.
Give in, stop.
Totally.
Like,
that's what people do. They often
do, and it's like, it's really hard. Lots of people do.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah, or turn to drugs or any number of things. And to your point around like chosen family, I feel like that's huge in the queer community. Because we often support each other, and some of us have great families, and some of us biological families, I should say.
Here's the thing, I don't blame my parents. They were great people. They were super sweet. Like, I remember presents at Christmas, and like, you know, like later on in teen years different, but like the childhood was good, and like, it was just full of like lots of love. And like, my parents taught me my work ethic. Like, my mom washed dishes at a Chinese restaurant and like made beds at a motel like during the day, like worked 2 full-time jobs while my dad was like on disability. And like, you know, like, they taught me quite a bit of stuff. So like I said, this goes back into that 50-50 thing I was telling you, is that some people, you have to realize, no matter what, blood or not, if they don't align with what you're doing, even at that time, it's okay to take a step back.
Totally. Yeah, when values don't align. And I think sometimes people in the same relationships, when their values don't align, right?
Yeah.
Because they feel like they have to stay there.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the business world, right? You know, many of us, we start something that's our baby, and it's really hard to let go, even if it doesn't make sense, right? Like, you know, whether the numbers don't make sense or...
I used to be so competitive. I used to be so competitive with everything, with business, with trainers, with classes, with numbers, with everything. And you know what I realized when you do get successful is when you calm down and you just let it happen.
Yeah.
And if you got the sauce, you got the sauce. And if you don't, then you're going to find out like real quick.
Yeah. I've been learning that a bit more of like, okay, sometimes you just got to take a step back. Yes, there's always lots of work and shit to do, but sometimes you just got to like chill. And I know I don't do enough of that myself.
No, me either.
So,
I mean,
2 full-time gigs.
Yeah, I literally have 2 full-time jobs. I'm like, I own here and I manage Friends of Dorothy Lounge. And I've been doing that for 2 years. So pretty much, 2 full-time jobs. Yeah. And I wouldn't have it any other way because, you know, this gym is my passion project. Right. This is what sets my soul afire. And Dorothy's, I love Dorothy's so much. I love what it stands for. I love what it brings into the community. I love that it is once again a space. I love to be able to curate a space that it is open for everybody. It's open for they, thems. It's open for he, she's. It's open for straight. It's open for anybody on the spectrum. Anybody that wants to be in a queer space. Right. And it's fun. I'm like, you get in there and the vibe is a good time. I'm like, the bar lights are on, the drag queens are there. I'm like, the servers are there. The bartenders are usually dancing. Like, it's a party. And like, it's a good way for me because I don't drink and I don't smoke. Like cigarettes. I mean, I smoke weed. I mean, but yeah, we all have our vices. But the thing is like, that's why I'm like, I'm not sober, but I don't party. Right. I don't do hard drugs. I don't drink. Like, and it's because
your drug is your work.
Yeah, my drug is my work. But like, I love being able to spend time with people and meet people. And so having Dorothy's really gives me access to the community, gives me access to people coming in and out of town, and it like bartending and serving and managing I've been doing for like, oh my god, like 30 years. Like,
well, that's I know when we met you were serving.
I grew up in a Chinese restaurant where my mom washed dishes and like, so I feel like I've just been in restaurants from a little kid. Yeah. So like when I'm in a restaurant or I'm in a bar, that also feels like home. So it's really nice to be able to work that and work this and be the boss of both and be able to manage it, which is beautiful.
Well, I want to focus a bit more on this one because it's obviously one that you physically or actually own.
Totally.
Tell me a bit about the process of how the gym came to be.
Well, I owned part of the space next door to us, which was Orange Fitness. And we decided my business partner at the time decided to disenfranchise and do our own thing. And I was like, okay, am I going to stop doing fitness? Like, is this going to be it? Maybe I'll just train people at their houses or something. And I just didn't know. I was kind of torn because it was after COVID and it was like shut down, open, shut down, open, shut down, open. And it was just, COVID was a beating. There's those life throwing you punches again. And I just thought, you know, fitness is it's my soul. Like, I love the interaction with people and the energy and just being, you give them so much by doing so little and just being there and giving them a space. And like, I always love to do that in my classes, and I love to offer that for my clients. Some people just come to trauma dump. Some people just come to visit. Some people come to work their face off. Yeah. Some people come to get the crazy out. I'm like, and that was kind of like when Orange shut down, I didn't really know what I was going to do and like what was going to happen. And my partner and I, not like my boyfriend, but my business partner, we literally shotgun decisioned it. We decided one day that we were going to open our own gym, and we contacted all of our clients and told them what we were doing. And 7 days later, we opened up a space in my garage And
As you
for and for real. And we started off training in my garage with equipment with like 10 people. And then in a week's time, we were like, holy shit, this is getting to be too big. We can't do this. Right. So we were like, we need a space. And then it just happened that this space on this side that we used to do personal training and the spin side was available. And we're like, well, let's just put up the wall and move everything there. I'm like, most of the people know the space and it's central and blah, blah, blah. So 7 days from being in the garage, we moved into this space and we got all of our stuff up and running from August 28th, opened here on November 7th.
Yeah. It's helpful that you knew the space, what was going on in there.
Totally.
And I imagine the bones were at least probably still here in some aspect, right?
We just gave it a little facelift and got new equipment. And like turned it into our space.
Right.
It's not my space, it's our space. I'll tell you, like Kylie literally has picked the aesthetic of the whole place. She's picked the colors, she's picked everything, the lights, and like that is the other part is that she's a great business partner in the way that like I don't like emails. I don't like to like there are things that like I put on my list of things that I don't want to do, and that is back end things. I'm like, and so you need that in a person,
absolutely,
in a partner that like I need somebody that needs to do the back end stuff and like respond to people and like social media and like organize.
Yeah.
So once we came up with this space, we decided to think about like, you know, what does a queer owned space mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because you generally go to fitness studios and it's like, you know, the Kelowna Classic. It's like,
yeah, meatheads, blondes,
meatheads, whatever, and like
people. It's basically a pickup bar, but in a gym.
Yeah, and for me, I'm like, as soon as I got out of commercial gyms and started working at fitness studios, you really start to get this like this type of straight guy that like is okay being around gay guys and like going to like a fitness class and going to a yoga class and like they're just they're like more liberated. They're more like they're how they should be in 2024, right?
Probably a term used is probably metrosexual, but
I was gonna say that, but I'm like, do we still say that? I'm like, or is it?
I feel like people will understand what it means.
Yeah, totally. Right. And those are the people that I have been surrounding myself with in Kelowna here for the last 20 years. Are people that like, there's a lot of straight guys that come here. But then there's also a lot of queer people that come here. Yeah. And they don't know, they don't care, they don't ask, they don't do anything. They're working out right next to each other. And like, it's not a thing here. And that's what we wanted.
Right. Well, and I've done both, you know, I've done studios like this in different parts of Canada as well as the commercial gyms. And yeah, these type of spaces always feel more community focused and they generally care about you versus... And maybe this isn't for all big gyms, but a lot of them, it is very, your credit card number is really what you are in a sense. And don't be an idiot. So we don't have any liability, but go do your thing.
Well, what I noticed about the difference between, I keep hitting this thing. I just can't help it. What I noticed about having the space over there is that there was always too much. There was too many instructors. There was too many staff. There was just too much. So it never was really able to get that kind of traction. Right. And I was like, let's just cut that out and get people that we know are going to want to just have our type of experience here, right? And that's kind of where we really went into it being a private facility.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, bigger isn't always better.
No. No. Smaller just means that you know what's going on.
Totally. Well, and in that aspect, do you feel your gay identity plays into this in any way, or is it just not a thing? In terms of like the community that you're building here,
you know what? When I started, it used to be a big thing. It was like people, they always like, oh, I want to hang around that gay guy, or did you see that new gay trainer? Blah blah blah. And like he's crazy. And then now it's It's become so normalized. And like I said, the people that come in here are people I've known for 20 years. Right. People I've known, people I've known for 10 years. People I've known for so long that like they're not thinking about me being gay. They're not, and if they're telling their girlfriend to come, it's not somebody who's, I don't know, it's somebody I've seen from over there. And like, right. So it's always, Kelowna's small, right? Yeah. And like what I noticed over there when I owned that space is that the guests never chatted with each other. And it was like a community. Cliquey. Yeah. And like people who came over from that space into the doghouse, they're all talking. Right. They're all people who never talk to each other, are talking to each other, talking about their kids, talking about their husbands. And I don't know if it's just because there's more windows over here or if it's the vibe or whatever, but they're chatty and we want that and we encourage it. Yeah. And it's such an important part of your physical well-being and your mental well-being, right? I'm like that little aspect of like, Susie Q doesn't know anything about my personal life, but we're going to sit here and we're going to shoot the shit and it's going to be an escape. And I think that's the biggest experience for people.
Yeah. Have you found the LGBT community be supportive of the business?
The doghouse, yes, very supportive. Yeah. Yes,
I know where you were going with that, but we'll leave that for another day.
Yes, the doghouse. It's been we've been super supportive. We have quite a bit of people in the community that come, which is really nice.
I do find most. I mean, granted, this is 8 episodes in, but typically queer people want to support other queer businesses.
Yeah.
Right, because you have that first knowingness that it's going to be safe. Maybe not always for trans folks in certain queer businesses,
totally.
But for the most part.
Totally, and we do have members here who are trans.
Okay.
And it has been, like the feedback has been super positive, and they feel comfortable coming here. And obviously, I think there's something that's so intimidating about being in fitness and being in a space. And I think once they come in and they see that it's not so bad, I think it really helps bridge the gap between like what's scary and intimidating and people that they would normally not speak with. And now they're talking to, and it's like, if you're not there, you're not there. It's okay. Right. Yeah. But some people are really curious and they want to know and they want to come out and they want to, like some people are transitioning and they do want to work on their physical well-being, and Absolutely. They don't know where to go and they don't know what's going to be a good space. So they're at home and they're YouTubing and they're watching videos or whatever, but they don't know that they can come to a space and come work out and no one's going to stare at them.
Totally.
And that's a really important thing
it is
to know.
Yeah. You don't want to be like in the zoo in a sense of everyone watching you.
Totally. Right? And this, you'll find some gyms are cruising grounds, and this first and foremost and never will be a cruising ground. Yeah.
Which is key. And so I mentioned earlier you don't really do any marketing advertising, but how do you reach out to the queer community while still maintaining like authenticity in that?
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Literally word of mouth. That has been my bread and butter.
Yeah.
You say one thing to one person, you say bring your friend.
Yeah.
Try it out. And then they bring their friend. And then that's how you start something. That's how you get the ball rolling.
True.
And that's what I was saying. I'm like, that person who's trying to get the ball rolling either has the sauce or doesn't have the sauce. Right?
Yeah.
So thank goodness. It's the ball's still rolling, so we're good. Exactly. Yeah.
Are there any causes within the LGBT community that are really near and dear to your heart that you like to support with all that free time and 2 full-time jobs?
All my free time. I do have a really big soft spot, and I've done some free rides and stuff for etc.
Okay.
I just love, once again, that having a space provided where like people in the community can go and there's like snacks and a space that's rented out and they can chill, and like even it's just themselves. Sometimes it's been such a shitty day for them. It's okay for them to go to a space and it's just chill.
Right.
And everyone I know that's been a part of that organization or has gone to that organization has said nothing but amazing things about it and like how it's changed them.
Totally.
And it's just like, if I were to pick something, like that is something like helping people, youth especially, feel comfortable knowing what's going on. Like that's huge.
Right.
Yeah. So they do some really good work. And like just knowing about like we are queer people and knowing about your sexual health and knowing about like where to go to get tested and like which doctors are okay to talk to and like the thing about community is that you know who to talk to and maybe get some recommendations from there, and like that really goes a long way as opposed to like just looking through the internet or like
totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like you don't know, but like lots of people that go to fitness places and studios are like doctors and nurses and people who don't want to go to a regular gym, right. So it's like you're around a wealth of knowledge when you're going to a private space,
right,
as opposed to like a bigger space, right? So like it's just like knowing that you have access to resources, or like talking to one of the owners and seeing if they have access to resources. It's like that's called supporting the queer community. Absolutely. Right? And it's,
It is. What with all that, what kind of a vision do you have for leaving a legacy with your business?
I would say I wouldn't even say legacy. I'd say the biggest takeaway I want from people here is that they had a good time and that they felt safe, and like the product and the quality was there. And I think that's like the biggest thing I try to do with everything in my life is like try to give people as best as I can. And like some days aren't going to be my best and some days are going to be way better. But like just know that even on my worst day, like that's still me trying like my best. Yeah. And I think that's all that anybody can do. And that's what I try to put into this space. And I think if I were to think of a legacy, I think that would be something.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to change up a bit and go to what I call our lightning round, which is just
oh my gosh,
this or that. All it is. It's like, so I'm going to give you two options and you pick one. Don't think about it. There's no explanation.
Lay it
just
on
answer
me.
And then we'll go. So dinner at a fancy restaurant or home cooked meal?
Home cooked.
Multiple short vacations in a year or one long one?
One long
one. Mexico or Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Spain or Portugal?
Spain.
Vancouver or Victoria?
Victoria.
Early riser or like to sleep in?
Early riser.
I knew that one. It's hard to be in the gym and not. If you're traveling somewhere, driving or flying?
I'm claustrophobic. I don't like either.
So, you don't like driving places?
I don't like driving or flying, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Hence the one long vacation, because I'm going to get it done once.
Fair enough. Makes sense. Audiobooks or real books?
Audio. And
for your business, do you use debit or credit?
Debit.
And like big bank or local credit union?
For like the business here? Yeah. We actually just do it through our mind-body system. So I think it's...
You still gonna have like a bank account.
Yeah, I think it's Royal Bank.
Okay.
Yeah, RBC.
Big bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dog or cat?
I have both.
Oh,
but like
okay,
it's called the dog house, and like my dog's there.
Totally. I mean, it wasn't your. I mean, I kind of knew half the answer.
Yeah.
Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify. Yeah.
Popcorn, yay or nay?
Love popcorn.
Yeah. I find popcorn was one of those things that's very dividing. People love it or hate it. It's usually because of what it get in your teeth, right? Fruit on pizza.
Yeah, I love me a pineapple on there.
Okay, these are just short answers. Favorite type of music?
Taylor Swift.
Nice. Swiftie. Favorite time of the year?
Fall.
Perfect. And if you are going on vacation, where's your favorite place to go to? Or bucket list place, it could be that too.
Bucket list, I've got Italy, France, Greece.
A European tour?
Yeah, somewhere over there.
Awesome. And I've got just a few kind of last questions to wrap up the podcast today. How do you handle work-life balance and self-care as an entrepreneur?
Oh, funny. Well, funny you ask. Well, actually, it's getting easier and easier and easier, but I'll tell you what, it has been a process. But lately, I have actually got myself a day off and like organized my schedule where I get to sleep in a couple of days a week, and like I have afternoons and a couple evenings, and it took me a long time to get there, but like you really just have to be able to slow down a little bit and kind of realize that like it's okay to say I'm tired and I need to sleep in and I need a day off, and like it's going to be okay to say no. And I think that's the biggest thing I've been learning is that like it's okay to say no to take care of yourself.
Right. And how do you feel it's impacted you since starting to do that?
Oh my God. Like, well, first I'm rested and people are like, oh, what's going on? Or people are like, oh, did you get a haircut? I'm like, no. They're like, oh, what's different? Did you shave? No, just showered today. Like this
I had time to shower.
Yeah, like this is the time now. I'm like, I've got time to bathe myself. So here we go. So just getting back to normal, right? Because opening a business is a wild beast.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Yeah, and then running another one at the same time. I'm like, that was just, I like to be crazy, apparently.
Do you have any tips or strategies for building resilience in the face of adversity with business?
You know, I said it earlier, and the biggest thing you can do is pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just keep going and realize that like sometimes you have to say sorry, and sometimes you have to look people in the eye, and sometimes, you know what, you have to work with people you don't like, and you have to be okay with that. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
Because that's life.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta suck it up, and sometimes you can tell them to fuck off.
Yeah. And it's like I'm at that point where I could do a little bit of both.
Yeah. Agreed. How about any favorite books or podcasts that you're listening to?
Oh, I just read The Woman in Me. Sure. Britney Spears, bitch, come on.
It's like The Woman in Me.
Like the life-changing,
I did read that one.
Ever-experiencing, explosive memoir from the Queen, Britney Spears. Britney Jean Spears, sorry.
Get it right.
That was the last book I read. And currently, I am listening on Audible, Bad Mormon by Heather Gay, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Oh. Yeah, I do love me. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, best one.
Guilty pleasure?
Yeah, like the best. Yeah. Meredith Marks, hands down winner.
Love it. Do you listen to any that are business focused at all?
No. No.
Yes, that's part of your self-care then too.
Yeah, I was like, no. I like to escape into like rich people's lives.
There you go. And kind of my last kind of closing question is, what advice would you give a fellow queer person who's exploring an entrepreneurial journey?
Stay strong.
Yeah. That's good.
Stay strong and realize that like if you build it, they might not come, but stay strong.
Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, right?
Yeah, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, and you gotta just be able to roll with the punches. Yeah. So that's my advice.
Perfect. That's great. Any closing thoughts you want to impart? You don't have to. I just like the opportunity if anyone wants to say anything that we didn't talk about or.
No, I'm just like super thankful that you had me on here and that I was able to talk about the doghouse. Yeah. And just a little bit more about myself because, like I said, I don't really go out. Yeah. I don't drink. Besides, like if you see me at Dorothy's, I serve drinks. Yeah. And quite frankly, like to be out in big crowds, I'm like I have a bit of like social anxiety. So for me, I'm like I don't go out. Right. So it's really nice to be able to kind of put myself out there so that people can kind of see me and also know where I am. And like, that's it. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. Yeah. I know as I I mean, I've been meaning to get into your space for quite a while.
Yeah.
So it was good to
Anytime you want, you get in here.
Perfect.
Come to a spin class.
At home, I do my little like 20-minute spin classes on my tablet looking at the lake.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I love it.
Yeah, but
will you come in and see me?
I will, absolutely. Thanks for being on Queerpreneurs Unleashed.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks for listening to another episode of Queerpreneurs Unleashed. We'll see you next time.